Welcome to Living Your Wealth Today and Tomorrow, the show where we explore how to enjoy the wealth you've already built, as well as how to best plan for a successful financial future. I'm your host, Kelly Ennis, founder and president of Infinity Financial Strategies. Welcome back to Living Your Wealth Today and Tomorrow, the podcast where we help you live your life by design, not by default. As we sit here in December, the clock is ticking, not just toward the holidays or the new year, but toward a long list of financial deadlines that matter more than most people realize. This is the time of year when timing becomes a strategy all its own. Some financial actions simply must happen before December 31st. Others should happen earlier in the year, but often don't. And others shouldn't be rushed at all because taking action too early can carry unintended consequences for your taxes, your investments, or your overall financial picture. So today, we're unpacking a surprisingly important topic. How do you decide when to take financial action? Not whether an action is good or bad, but when it makes the most sense. Because timing is not a footnote to financial planning. Timing is a financial tool. We're going to walk through the key factors we use every day with our clients, from investment volatility, portfolio recovery windows, and income predictability, to tax implications and whether a better investment home exists for a particular dollar. And we'll explore why the timing of making a decision and the timing of executing the action are often completely different things. Let's start with why timing matters more than most people think. Your financial life doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens on a calendar, one full of deadlines, opportunities, windows, and constraints. Think about it this way. The IRS doesn't care whether you were busy this week. Your portfolio doesn't care that the market dipped right before you needed the cash. Your employer certainly doesn't time your bonus around your tax plan. And inflation, market cycles, and interest rates don't adjust themselves to accommodate your schedule. Financial planning is about aligning your choices with the windows that matter. Good timing can help you reduce taxes, control risk, improve investment outcomes, reduce stress, and create clarity. Poor timing often does the opposite. And unfortunately, December is the month when the costs of poor timing show up the most clearly. Let's begin with the simplest timing factor. When do you actually need to spend the money? This may seem basic, but it is the foundation of both investment planning and cash flow planning. Every dollar you hold has a job. That job could be pay for a major purchase in the next 6 months, cover tuition next fall, fund a home renovation in 2 years, or supplement retirement income for the next 30 years. The timeline matters because it determines your risk capacity, not your risk tolerance, which is emotional, but your ability to recover from volatility. Here's the rule of thumb we use. The shorter the timeline, the less volatility the funds should experience. The longer a timeline, the more volatility you can accept, as long as the expected reward justifies the risk. If you have a financial outlay coming up soon, 6, 12, or even 18 months, that money should generally be in a stable environment. The closer you get to the date of that outlay, the less flexibility you have to recover from a market downturn. But if your financial outlay is 10 or 20 years away, volatility becomes a tool rather than a threat. And this is where timing decisions get interesting. Because a financial action, like saving more, reallocating your portfolio, or funding a specific goal, is tied directly to the timeline of when the money must be used. That's why we always begin with, when will you need those dollars, and what job are they expected to perform? Once that timeline is clear, your timing decisions become clearer too. Let's talk about volatility, the roller coaster that accompanies investing. There are 2 questions you must answer. The first is, can you emotionally handle volatility? Some people don't lose sleep when markets fluctuate. Others feel anxious when their account shifts by even 2%. Emotional tolerance is real and must be respected. The second question is, can your timeline handle volatility? This is the more important question. If you don't need the money for 15 years, volatility is part of the process. But if you need them funds next year, volatility becomes a risk you may not have time to recover from. Recovery time matters. Historically, markets recover. Markets tend to rise over the long haul. The challenge is that we can't predict how long the long haul is. It could be 2 years, 10 years, or some other length of time. Recovery doesn't happen on your schedule. And when a withdrawal is forced during a downturn because your timeline demands it, that's when long-term damage happens to your finances. This is why we always match portfolio volatility to your timeline. Timing a financial action, such as investing a lump sum, reallocating your accounts, or moving money between buckets, depends largely on whether you have the time to withstand temporary declines. Now, here's a difficult but necessary question. How much of a loss could your portfolio absorb in the short term without jeopardizing your long-term goal? This question becomes especially important in December, when markets can be unpredictable and people often scramble to put money somewhere before year-end. But pause for a moment. If your portfolio experienced a meaningful downturn between now and when you need the money, could your plan still hold? Your loss capacity is determined by how soon you need the money, how much flexibility you have around that timeline, the resilience of your broader financial picture, the size and role of the specific dollar bucket you're evaluating, and your willingness to temporarily adjust your spending or your goal if necessary. The shorter the runway, the less loss you can safely absorb. The longer the runway, the more loss you can endure because you have recovery time. This is why timing matters for actions like funding college accounts, making large Roth conversions, taking capital gains or capital losses, rebalancing portfolios, investing or repositioning lump sums, funding a home renovation or major purchase, and deciding whether to take certain required distributions early or late. When that timeline is short, the margin for recovery is thin. When the timeline is long, that margin widens. And taxes add an entirely different layer to timing decisions. Some actions must occur before December 31st to count for the current tax year. Others may be better timed for January, depending on your income, expenses, and withholding. The core question is, how much should tax implications influence the timing of your actions? For many households, the answer is very much. For others, the answer is not as much as you might think. Here's the nuance. If tax implications depend on your income level for the year, then the timing of your financial decisions depends on how much control you have over your income and how well you can forecast it. Take these financial decisions, for example. Roth conversions, capital gains or loss harvesting, qualified charitable distributions, business deductions, and decisions around tax-deferred versus Roth contributions. All of these benefit from better information. And the best information comes when the tax year is nearly complete, usually late in fourth quarter. For many clients, we intentionally wait until late in the year to finalize certain tax-sensitive decisions, precisely because we want clarity. But this is critical to remember. Don't let the tax tail wag the dog. A bonus in December is still a blessing. A windfall that arrives at year-end is still meaningful income. A Roth conversion that pushes you up one tax bracket may still be a strategic move. Tax optimization is not the same as tax perfection. And the purpose of planning is to support your life, not to make you a slave to the IRS calendar. Now, here's one timing factor that simply doesn't get enough attention. Does your current investment environment limit your choices? And is there a better home for your dollars? Take RMDs as the clearest example. If you don't need the money from an employer plan, should you take the distribution early in the year or wait until December? This requires weighing two competing priorities. The first is tax-deferred growth inside the employer plan. Money left inside a pre-tax plan continues to grow without generating taxable income. That's valuable. The second is investment quality and cost. Many employer plans have limited investment menus, higher fees or expense ratios, less flexibility in allocation, and restrictions that prevent proper diversification. When you move funds to an IRA or to your broader managed portfolio, you may gain more diversified choices, lower costs, better risk alignment, more precise portfolio construction, and improved tax coordination in the long term. So, the timing question becomes, does another year of tax-deferred growth outweigh the benefits of improved diversification, lower expenses, and or a better portfolio alignment? This is a strategic timing question, not an emotional one. And one of the biggest misunderstandings in financial planning is this. The moment you make a decision is rarely the moment you take the action. These are separate steps. At Infinity Financial Strategies, we begin income planning early in the year. In January, we look at how much income you'll need, how much income you'll want, the sources of that income, and which dollars are serving what purpose. But that doesn't mean we act on everything immediately. Certain actions have natural timing windows. Roth conversions may be delayed until fourth quarter when income is clearer. Qualified charitable distributions may be strategically timed to coincide with RMD requirements. Rebalancing may occur when markets dictate, not when the calendar dictates. Portfolio withdrawals may be delayed until we have updated tax projections. And capital gain and loss harvesting decisions may wait until we review total taxable income late in the year. Planning early gives you structure and readiness. Executing later gives you precision. Every December, the financial world gets noisy. Deadlines loom, markets move unpredictably, and people rush to act. But December doesn't have to be chaotic if the planning process started earlier. The goal is not to make December a month of big decisions. The goal is to make December a month of final confirmations. If you know what you intend to do by mid-year and you revisit the plan in the fall, December becomes a month where you simply carry out what you've already thought through. This is why planning and execution have two different timelines. Planning belongs to January through October. Execution usually belongs to November and December. So here's a simplified structure to guide timing throughout the year. Quarter 1, plan and prepare. This is when you'll do income planning, goal prioritization, review timelines for major outlays, evaluate savings capacity, review your risk alignment, and an initial tax projection. Second quarter is for adjusting and automating. In this quarter, we update cash flow expectations, refine the savings plan, make mid-year portfolio adjustments, and begin evaluating whether certain actions will be needed in third or fourth quarter. Third quarter is forecast and strategize. At this point, we'll begin forecasting year-end income. We'll identify whether Roth conversions or capital gains will be recommended, review upcoming outlays for next year, and implement proactive portfolio changes if needed. And then, fourth quarter, execute with precision. This is where timing reaches its peak importance. By now, you should have better clarity on income, a refined tax projection, a clear understanding of upcoming spending, and a plan for year-end actions. So this is when we finalize Roth conversions, capital gains and losses, qualified charitable distributions if they haven't already been taken, RMDs, year-end contributions, year-end 401k deferrals, donor-advised fund contributions, and gifting strategies. Timing isn't luck. It isn't guessing. It isn't about predicting the markets or trying to outsmart the calendar. Timing is about understanding your needs, aligning decisions with your income, balancing tax implications with real-life priorities, and being intentional rather than reactive. When done well, timing helps you preserve wealth, reduce stress, and make better decisions all year long. And December is the perfect time to reflect on how well this year's timing served you and how next year can make it be even more intentional. Thank you for joining me on today's episode of Living Your Wealth Today and Tomorrow. My hope is that this conversation gives you clarity as we close out the year and prepares you to approach next year with greater confidence, structure, and peace of mind. If you'd like help evaluating the timing of your own financial decisions, our team at Infinity Financial Strategies is here to support you. Have a wonderful and safe holiday season. Thanks for listening to this episode of Living Your Wealth Today and Tomorrow. This podcast is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not tax, legal, or investment advice. Seek guidance from your legal and financial professionals before acting. For more insights on planning for your financial future, follow me on LinkedIn. And for more information on Infinity Financial Strategies, visit our website at infinityfinancialstrategies.net. If you enjoyed the show, please share it with a friend or family member who might benefit from listening, and please leave a review wherever you listen. Tune in next time for more tips and tricks on living your best life through financial planning.